Are you looking for the best budget laptops for video editing? In this video, we will look at some of the 7 best budget laptops on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description, so make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Starting at number 1. Lenovo Ideapad L340. Lenovo's Ideapad series of laptops tend to be excellent budget contenders in a variety of categories. They're built respectably well, they handle day-to-day tasks pretty good, and they usually last a good while. The L340 is a gaming machine, but due to its performance, it's also an excellent option for video editing. Intel's Core i5-9300H runs the show, a CPU that runs a base frequency of 2.4 GHz, but when necessary, can turbo up to 4.1 GHz, which is quite impressive. With 4 cores and 8 threads, video editing won't be a problem. To help with this, however, you also get NVIDIA's GeForce GTX 1650. This also means that you'll be able to game on the L340, too. In addition, you'll find 8 GB of DDR4 memory, as well as a 512 GB NVMe SSD. You won't have to worry about slow read or write speeds, and you'll be more than set to go. Last but not least, not everyone uses an external monitor for gaming, so the inclusion of a 1080p IPS panel in the 15.6-inch display is a very smart decision by Lenovo. The sound is also excellent thanks to Dolby Audio, and overall you have a great video editing laptop. At number 2. ASUS VivoBook 15. While the ZenBook is undoubtedly the more premium variant, the ASUS VivoBook models have made quite a splash. They come at very reasonable prices, yet offer great performance and a very good build quality. The body is thin and light, while still being thick enough to give respectable cooling to the CPU and GPU. Speaking of CPU and GPU, with the VivoBook you'll get a Ryzen 5 3500U processor, as well as AMD's own Radeon Vega 8 graphics solution. This is a very respectable choice, especially since the CPU can turbo up to 3.6 GHz when necessary. The display is a full HD panel with good viewing angles, and the bezels are really thin. Actually, the entire laptop's design is excellent, with an 88% screen-to-body ratio and a 0.7-inch thickness. And yes, even with that thickness, you still get a full-size HDMI port. The laptop is rounded out by 8 GB of DDR4 RAM, as well as a 256 GB PCI SSD, which should keep all your files safe and easy to access. Add to this the backlit keyboard, and you've got yourself an excellent machine for video editing. At number 3. ASUS TUF-FX 505DT. There's no doubt that the Republic of Gamers series of laptops by ASUS is their top-of-the-line offering for both video editing and gaming. But for those who can't afford it, the TUF models could be a good alternative. They're pretty cheap, yet come with a good choice of components and excellent build quality. To begin with, in the TUF-FX 505DT you will find a quad-core Ryzen 5 3550H processor. It's a very respectable CPU that should hold its weight when you're editing videos on it. It's paired with NVIDIA's 4GB GTX 1650 graphics card, to ensure a smooth experience even if you're editing higher resolution video. The laptop also comes with 8GB of DDR4 memory, as well as a respectable 256GB NVMe SSD. It should run video editing programs well, and you'll have pleasure using it. It's truly a great option. At number 4. ASUS VivoBook 15F512 DAEB55BL laptop. ASUS VivoBook series is an excellent budget option. They're somewhat of a cheaper option of their premium ZenBook series, but they're often packed with excellent specs, in a well-built body, and don't cost a lot. The F512 DAEB55BL is a prime example of that. It's a good video editing laptop, as it comes with AMD's R5-3500U CPU, which is comparable to Intel's Core i5-8250U. The R5-3500U has 4 cores, 8 threads, a base frequency of 2.1 GHz and a maximum turbo frequency of 3.7 GHz. It's a good CPU for video editing on a budget. Aside from that, you get 8 GB of DDR4 RAM, which should have you covered, a 128GB SSD, and a 1TB HDD for your videos. Sure, a larger SSD would have been nice, but at this price, we can't really complain. Moreover, the anti-glare coating display is a 15.6-inch display, but its frameless four-sided nano-edge display keeps dimensions down to a minimum and allows for an 88% screen-to-body ratio. This thin, lightweight, and portable laptop is 14.1 inch wide and 0.7 inch thick. You also get an ergonomic chiclet backlit keyboard, as well as a fingerprint scanner for Windows Hello. It also has plenty of ports, including a USB 3.1 Type-C port, as well as full-size USB ports and an HDMI port. And don't forget its amazing 1-year accidental damage protection. At number 5. Acer Aspire 5 Slim. Acer's Aspire 5 has been around for a while, with Acer refreshing the lineup every once in a while. The Aspire 5 Slim is the latest iteration and a great choice for video editing. It comes in a slim body, and even at 15.6 inch, it weighs less than 4 pounds. The build quality is pretty good, and you have things such as a fingerprint scanner and a backlit keyboard, things that were usually reserved for higher-end models only. Even though a budget-oriented model, the Aspire 5 Slim does pack a punch. It's powered by Intel's 8th generation Core i5-8265U, which is a very power-efficient 4-core 8-thread processor that runs at 1.6 GHz, but can turbo up to 3.9 GHz when needed. There's no dedicated GPU, even though there's a higher-priced model that does have an NVIDIA GPU, but you do get a decent 8 GB of DDR4 RAM, as well as a 256 GB PCIe NVMe SSD. The laptop is rounded out by a 15.6-inch Full HD IPS display with excellent color reproduction and viewing angles. If you're looking for a budget laptop that you can edit video on, this should be one of your top picks. At number 6. Lenovo Flex 14 2-in-1. While some are very much opposed to the idea of a touchscreen on a laptop, Lenovo's 2-in-1 solution, the Flex 14, might make you reconsider. It's an excellent machine, with plenty of performance and a lot of versatility in the way you use it. The Flex also comes with a 14-inch Full HD display that, as we mentioned, has touch capabilities. This might come in quite handy when you're scrubbing through a timeline, or for precise zooming and editing, and is an interesting feature. You will also get a pen as well, which you can use with your laptop. There's also 12 GB of RAM, which is quite a bit, as well as a very fast 256 GB NVMe SSD. The only potential downside of the Flex is the lack of a dedicated GPU. However, at this price, and with a 10-hour battery, you can't really complain. Just like with many other popular models nowadays, AMD's Ryzen series CPUs make an appearance here, in the form of the Ryzen 5 3500U. It's a great all-round CPU, and it should do a great job with video editing. It also has Radeon Vega graphics to help a bit with video acceleration. At number 7. Dell Inspiron 15-5000, 2018. Dell is a well-established brand in the laptop industry, and the Inspiron series has always been their mid-range model. The 2018 Inspiron 5000 is built really well and packs all the specs you need for video editing. We have Intel's Core i5-8250U CPU, which is a quad-core, 8-thread processor with a maximum turbo boost of 3.4 GHz. Video editing shouldn't be an issue with it. Multitasking shouldn't be a problem either, thanks to the 8 GB of DDR4 RAM. There's plenty of storage in the shape of a 1 TB hard drive. Unfortunately, at this price, an SSD may be a bit too much to ask for. The CPU's integrated Intel 620 graphics powers a 15.6-inch display with a resolution of 1920 by 1080, which is also touch-enabled. This may come in handy when you need to scrub through your video editing timeline. You do get a full-size SD card reader as well, which will come in handy. As a bonus, there's dual-band AC wireless and a backlit keyboard. The stereo speakers with Max Audio Pro audio processing are loud and clear, and they definitely get the job done. All things considered, an excellent budget laptop for video editing.